Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're going to be taking a look at INCO,
INCO.
which is
Yeah,
a blockchain project that is
it is.
really aiming to solve some interesting problems that are present in Web3 today.
Yeah, it's a very ambitious project with some really
Yeah.
big goals.
So for everyone listening,
yeah. Mhm.
what INCO is trying to be is the universal confidentiality layer for Web3.
That's right.
So, one of the big things about blockchain that people always talk about is this transparency.
Right.
Like everything's out in the open, and that's supposed to be this
Right.
this great thing. But when you think about it,
Well,
kind of creates some problems as well.
yeah, like how much do you really want people to know about you?
Right. Like, would you ever play a game of poker
Oh, that's a great
if
example.
everyone could see your cards?
Right. You'd never have any fun.
Exactly. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what INCO is trying to solve, right?
Yeah, they're trying to bring that same level of confidentiality that we take for granted in Web 2.
Yeah.
Like when we shop online or do our banking,
Yeah.
we expect a certain degree of privacy.
Great.
And INCO wants to bring that to Web 3.
Yeah. And in the sources we were looking at, they talk about a fully on-chain mafia game
Oh, yeah.
that was built on INCO.
How cool is that?
I know, right? Imagine all the intrigue and the
Or
bluffing,
the deception.
but with the security and immutability of the blockchain.
Yeah, you don't have to trust any centralized server or third party.
Right.
Everything's out in the open, but your secrets are still safe.
So how does it actually work, though?
So the technology behind this is something called fully homomorphic encryption, or fhE.
Okay.
Now, I know that sounds kind of complicated.
Sounds like a magic trick.
It kind of is like a magic trick.
Yeah.
It allows you to perform computations on encrypted data without ever decrypting it.
Okay, so it's like I can
Yeah,
add two numbers together,
yeah,
but I never actually know what the numbers are.
that's right.
I just know that okay, I added them together and I got this answer.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing.
And how is INCO using this fhE?
So they developed something called fhEVM, which stands for Fully Homomorphic Ethereum Virtual Machine.
Okay.
And it's basically like a regular EVM, but it's supercharged with these fhE capabilities.
So as a developer, you can still use the tools that you're familiar with.
That's right, like Solidity,
Yeah.
the most popular language for Ethereum smart contracts.
Exactly. And you can build on INCO, and then you can tap into this fhE power to add confidential features to your dApps.
Exactly. It opens up a world of possibilities.
Yeah, and I know that we talked about gaming, but it has implications for DeFi as well.
Oh, absolutely. DeFi is huge.
Huge, yeah.
One of the big problems in DeFi is MEV,
Right.
which stands for minor extractable value.
Yeah, and that can really screw over everyday users.
Yeah, essentially, someone with inside information can manipulate transactions to profit at your expense.
Right, like you go to place a trade,
Right.
and suddenly the price shifts against you.
Exactly.
And you're like, what just happened?
Yeah, and that's likely MEV manipulation.
Okay.
But with INCO's confidential transactions, that's no longer possible.
So it levels the playing field.
It does. It makes DeFi fairer and more secure for everyone.
And the sources mentioned a lot of other potential applications for INCO and DeFi, like private AMMs, dark pools.
All sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Things that are currently impossible because of the lack of confidentiality.
And it's not just DeFi. It's also things like real-world assets,
Oh, yeah. Real-world assets are huge.
bringing real estate and stocks onto the blockchain.
Imagine a world where you can have a piece of real estate tokenized on the blockchain,
Right.
and the ownership is publicly verifiable.
Right.
But the actual details of the transaction, like the parties involved,
Right.
all that remains confidential.
That seems like that would be pretty important for something like that.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like this could be really huge for bringing traditional finance into the Web3 world.
I think so.
But what about the impact on individuals?
Right.
How does this affect us? Yeah, could INCO change how we manage our own data online?
Oh, absolutely. This is where decentralized identity comes in.
Okay.
Imagine a world where your personal information, like your medical records,
Right.
your financial history, is stored on chain.
Yeah.
But it's encrypted in a way that only you control access to.
So you're not relying on Google or Facebook
Right, exactly.
to keep your data safe.
You become the true owner of your digital identity.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a powerful concept.
It is. And I think it also leads to a lot of interesting possibilities.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because if you can control exactly who has access to what pieces of information, then
You can grant access selectively.
right.
Like, let's say you need a loan. You can allow the lender to verify your income without revealing your entire financial history.
Right, exactly. Just what they need to know.
That's it.
It's a very empowering concept.
It is.
So we've talked a lot about what INCO is trying to do.
Yeah.
But they're not just building their own ecosystem, are they?
Yeah. No, they're not. They want to bring this to the entire Web3 landscape.
So INCO wants to be this plugin that can add privacy features
Exactly.
to any blockchain.
That's the vision.
Okay.
They're taking a modular approach.
So they're not trying to convince everyone to switch over to the INCO blockchain.
No, they're saying, hey, we've got this great technology that can enhance what you're already doing.
So that they could add a layer of confidentiality on top of Ethereum.
Exactly.
Without having to rip and replace the entire thing.
That's right.
That's pretty interesting.
It is. And they're already working with some key players in the space to make this happen.
Like who?
Well, one example is Ethos.
Ethos.
Yeah, Ethos.
Yeah.
They leverage the security of restaked ETH.
Okay, so all that ETH that's locked up in staking.
Right. Currently valued at over $4.7 billion.
Wow.
INCO can tap into that to bolster its own security.
They're not starting from scratch. They're building on top of.
Exactly. They're leveraging the existing infrastructure.
Yeah, that's pretty smart.
It's a very strategic approach.
Yeah. So it sounds like they're taking all the right steps.
It seems that way.
But I bet our listeners have a lot of questions.
I'm sure they do.
How does this all actually work?
Yeah, the technical details.
Yeah, we just kind of glossed over fhE.
We did.
But what is that really?
Yeah, how does fhEVM actually function?
Yeah, and how can developers actually build using these tools?
All good questions.
So in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to get a little bit more technical.
We're going to go under the hood.
And explore those questions in more detail.
Get ready to get nerdy.
So stay tuned. All right, so welcome back to our deep dive into INCO.
INCO.
We've talked a lot about the potential of this project.
Gosh, the potential.
But now I think it's time to kind of roll up our sleeves.
Yeah, let's get into it.
And really get into how this all works.
Yeah.
So we keep throwing around this term fhE.
fhE.
Yeah.
Fully homomorphic encryption.
Right.
So it's a mouthful.
Fully homomorphic encryption.
Yeah.
And, I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
I still don't really understand it.
It is a really complex concept, but I think I can explain it in a way that makes sense.
Okay.
So imagine you have a piece of data.
Okay.
And it's locked in a safe.
Okay.
With fhE, you can actually perform calculations on that data without ever opening the safe.
Wait, so I can add two numbers together?
Yeah.
But I never actually see the numbers?
That's right.
That's insane.
It's like magic, right?
It is like magic.
But it's not magic, it's cryptography.
Okay, so how does the cryptography work?
So at a high level,
Yeah.
fhE works by encrypting data in a way that allows for certain mathematical operations to be performed on the ciphertext itself.
Okay, ciphertext, so that's the encrypted data.
Right. And the results of these operations are also encrypted. So only someone with the decryption key can see the final output.
Oh, so it's I'm doing math problems, but I'm doing them in a secret code.
Exactly.
That only I can understand.
And only the person with the key can unlock the answer.
Wow.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
It is, and I read in the sources that fhE has actually become much more practical in recent years.
Yeah, that's true.
It used to be this kind of theoretical thing.
Right, it was very computationally expensive.
Yeah.
But there have been some breakthroughs.
Like what?
Well, one major development was the introduction of something called programmable bootstrapping back in 2021.
Okay. Programmable bootstrapping.
Yeah, I know it sounds kind of intimidating.
It does.
But it's actually pretty simple.
Okay.
So when you perform calculations on encrypted data, some noise builds up.
Noise.
Yeah, like static in a radio signal.
Okay.
And if there's too much noise, the results become meaningless.
So you can't hear the music anymore.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So bootstrapping is a technique for reducing this noise, and programmable bootstrapping made this process much more efficient.
So like a noise-canceling headphone?
Yeah, kind of like that.
For encrypted data.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
So thanks to these advancements in fhE, INCO can now actually use it to create a platform for confidential computing on the blockchain.
So they're riding this wave.
They're at the forefront of this technology.
Of fhE innovation.
Exactly.
And they've created this platform called fhEVM.
fhEVM, yeah, the fully homomorphic Ethereum Virtual Machine.
Right.
And this is what makes INCO so developer-friendly.
Okay, because developers can still use Solidity.
That's right.
Right.
Which is the language that they're already familiar with for building on Ethereum.
Exactly. So they don't have to learn like a whole new set of tools.
They can just plug and play.
Plug and play with privacy.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
And the sources mentioned that INCO provides a bunch of pre-compiled contracts and functions
Yeah, a whole library of them.
to make it even easier for developers to integrate fhE into their dApps.
Yeah, so they don't have to write all the complex cryptographic code themselves.
So they can do things like encrypting and decrypting data,
Yeah.
performing calculations on encrypted values, even comparing encrypted values,
All that good stuff.
all without ever having to actually see the underlying data.
That's the beauty of it.
It's really amazing.
It is.
But I do have a question about the encryption keys.
Okay. Yeah, key management is crucial.
Right, because if someone gets their hands on the keys.
Then they can decrypt everything.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So how does INCO handle that?
So INCO uses a global fhE key.
Okay, a global key.
But here's the thing. No single entity holds the entire key.
Okay.
It's actually distributed amongst the network validators using something called threshold cryptography.
Okay, threshold cryptography. So it's like
Yeah.
it's like one of those bank vaults where you need like multiple keys
Exactly.
to open it.
That's a great analogy.
So like certain number of validators need to cooperate
Right, a threshold.
to decrypt any data.
Exactly. So there's no single point of failure.
Okay, so that sounds pretty secure.
It is. It's a very robust system.
But couldn't a majority of validators theoretically collude?
Theoretically, yes, but it's highly unlikely. Because INCO leverages the security of restaked ETH through their partnership with Ethos.
Right, we talked about that.
Yeah, so the validators securing INCO are the same ones already securing billions of dollars worth of ETH.
So they have strong incentive to
keep the system honest.
not be evil.
Exactly.
Okay, so the incentives are aligned
They are.
with the security of the system.
Mhm.
Okay, good.
Great.
So going back to the developer experience for a second.
Right, yeah.
So let's say I'm building a dApp
Yeah.
and I want to use fhE to protect my users' data.
Right.
Do I have to like learn a whole new programming paradigm?
Thankfully, no.
Okay, good.
You can still use familiar Solidity syntax
Okay.
and the functions provided in INCO's fhE library.
So it's more about understanding the concepts of confidential computing
That's right.
and applying them to your specific use case.
Exactly.
So like in that on-chain mafia game that we talked about,
Yeah.
the developer wouldn't have to write all this complex cryptographic code. To encrypt each player's actions, they could just use INCO's built-in functions.
Exactly. It's all abstracted away for them.
Wow, that's really powerful.
It is. It makes confidential computing much more accessible.
So it's not just for like cryptography experts.
Nope. Anyone can use it.
That's great.
Yeah.
And that opens up a lot of possibilities.
It does. It's a whole new world of applications.
Like we were talking about before, DeFi private transactions.
Yep.
Decentralized identity,
Mm-hmm.
managing encrypted personal data.
All sorts of cool stuff.
It's like we're moving from a world of open books to a world of sealed envelopes.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
We can still share information and collaborate,
Right.
but we have much more control over who sees what.
And that control is important,
It is.
not just for individuals, but for businesses,
Right.
organizations,
Yeah.
even governments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like there are so many scenarios where confidentiality is essential.
Yeah, like protecting sensitive financial data
Right.
or securing intellectual property
Yeah.
or ensuring fair and transparent voting systems.
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless.
It feels like we're on the verge of something really big here.
I think so too.
But INCO isn't just focused on building its own blockchain.
Right. Right. They want to bring confidential computing to other blockchains as well.
So how are they planning to do that?
Well, we talked about their partnership with Ethos.
Yeah, which leverages the security of restaked ETH.
Right.
But what about interoperability with other blockchains?
That's where Hyperlane comes in.
Hyperlane.
Yeah, it's an interoperability protocol designed to connect different blockchains.
So like a bridge between blockchains.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And INCO is integrating with Hyperlane to extend their confidential computing capabilities to a wider range of blockchains.
So they can essentially plug into these other blockchains
Yep.
and offer their privacy-enhancing features
That's the idea.
without requiring those blockchains to like completely change how they work.
Right. Exactly.
That's pretty impressive.
It is. It's a very clever approach.
Yeah, it's like they're building bridges
Yeah.
between these different blockchain ecosystems.
Bridges with privacy built in.
I like that.
Yeah.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've gone from like the theoretical underpinnings of fhE
Nitty-gritty.
to the practical implications of INCO's platform and its partnerships.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind tour.
But I think we're ready now
I think so too.
to kind of like step back
Yeah, zoom out.
and think about the big picture.
The big picture.
What are the implications of all of this?
Yeah.
Not just for the tech world,
Yeah.
but for society as a whole.
The societal impact.
That's what we're going to explore in the final part
Stay tuned.
of our deep dive. Welcome back to the show, everyone. We spent the last 2 parts talking about INCO and confidential computing.
Yeah, really diving deep into the tech.
And now I think it's time to like zoom out a little bit
Yeah, big picture time.
and think about the implications of all this. Like, what does it all mean?
Right, where does this lead us?
Not just for the tech world, but for society as a whole.
Yeah, I think INCO is pointing towards a future where we have much more control over our data.
Right. Like right now, it feels like we've kind of lost control.
Well, I've all our data is out there.
Like big companies are just collecting everything.
And they're using it for their own profit.
Exactly. And blockchain was supposed to be this this
Absolute
revolution.
transparency was the big promise.
But it turns out that transparency isn't always a good thing.
Right. Sometimes you need privacy.
Yeah, like you don't want everyone to know everything about you.
Exactly. And that's where INCO comes in.
Yeah, they're showing that you can have the benefits of blockchain
The security, the immutability.
without sacrificing privacy.
Right. It's about finding the right balance.
And I think this balance is really important.
It's essential if we want to build a more equitable and ethical digital world.
I agree. And in the sources we read, they talk about how INCO could revolutionize a lot of different areas,
Oh, yeah. Tons of potential applications.
like healthcare.
Healthcare is a big one.
Imagine if all your medical records were stored securely on a blockchain.
Encrypted in a way that only you control access to.
Right. So no more worrying about data breaches or unauthorized access.
And you could grant access to your records selectively.
Right. Like if you need to see a new doctor, you can just give them permission to view your records.
Exactly. And it would eliminate all those inefficiencies with the current system.
Right. Like right now, medical data is scattered all over the place.
Yeah, it's a mess.
And it's hard to share securely.
But with INCO, it would all be streamlined and secure.
It would be a game changer.
It would.
And it's not just healthcare,
Right? This could transform so many industries.
like finance.
Oh, yeah. Finance is another big one.
All that sensitive financial
It
data.
needs to be protected.
Exactly. And with INCO, it could be,
Secure and transparent at the same time.
or even something like voting.
Voting. That's a great example.
Yeah, imagine tamper-proof elections.
With anonymous votes.
No more hanging chads or whatever.
Right? A truly secure and democratic system.
So many possibilities.
It's really exciting to think about.
But let's be real for a second.
Okay, yeah, back to reality.
INCO is still a young project,
It is. They're just getting started.
and there are always challenges with new technologies.
Right. Technical hurdles, regulatory uncertainty.
And adoption is never guaranteed.
Yeah. Getting people to actually use it is the biggest challenge.
But even if INCO doesn't achieve everything they set out to do,
Yeah.
I think they're still making a huge contribution.
They are. They're pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And they're inspiring others to think differently about privacy.
That's right. They're showing that privacy matters.
Yeah, and it's not just a nice-to-have feature
It's essential.
for building a better future.
A more equitable and trustworthy future.
So for everyone listening out there,
Yeah, pay attention to this stuff.
keep an eye on INCO.
Even if they don't succeed,
The ideas they're championing are here to stay.
privacy is not going away.
So as you continue to explore the world of blockchain and Web3,
Yeah.
demand privacy support projects that prioritize it.
Don't settle for less.
And let's build a digital world where we all have more control over our data and our digital lives.
It's a future worth fighting for.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well said.
So that wraps up our deep dive into INCO and the future of confidential computing.
Thanks for joining us.
We hope you learned something new.
And that you're inspired to keep exploring this exciting space.
Until next time, stay curious, everyone.